From ancient wonders like the pyramids of Giza to modern marvels like the Burj Khalifa, humans have always aimed for bigger and better structures. Now picture this, a colossal building where everyone in the world lives together. Picture the breathtaking views from its towering summit or the awe-inspiring sight from a distance. As we delve into the concept, the incredible engineering and creativity needed for such a colossal structure become apparent. Could such a gigantic building be a reality? The idea of accommodating every single person in one colossal edifice may sound ludicrous, but surprisingly, similar concepts have already been suggested. Let's delve into the concept of really tall buildings, like the Exceed 4000 and the Tokyo Tower of Babel. The Exceed 4000 was suggested for Tokyo in 1997, aiming to be a colossal 4,000-meter structure with a whopping 800 floors. It could potentially provide homes for 1 million people, meaning about 1 in 14 Tokyo residents could live there. The Tokyo Tower of Babel took things even further, with plans for a 10-kilometer tall building capable of accommodating around 30 million people. To put its height in perspective, think of Mount Everest and picture the Burj Khalifa perched at its peak. This enormous tower could house Tokyo's entire population, twice over, or even fit the whole population of Australia inside. However, constructing such towering buildings is no easy feat. Back when the Tokyo Tower of Babel was proposed, it was estimated to take a whopping 150 years to finish the whole thing. If a building like that could house 30 million people, we'd need a structure 260 times its size to accommodate everyone on Earth. Before we dive into the blueprints for this mega skyscraper, let's take stock of what we already have. Surprisingly, the record for the building with the most residents isn't in China, the US, or Dubai, but in Switzerland. Le Lignon, located near Geneva, is an urban development housing around 6,000 people. In this town, 1 in 6 residents calls this single building home. On the other hand, the Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest building, can host up to 10,000 people and serves various purposes with residential, office, and recreational spaces. To build a really tall skyscraper, we need to think much bigger and do something bold. Let's say each person needs about 50 square meters of space to live and the ceilings should be 3 meters high. That means our building needs to be about 800,000 times bigger than the Burj Khalifa, which is already super huge. So to start, let's try to squeeze all of New York City into one building. There are about 8.4 million people in New York City right now. To fit them all, we'd have to build a building that's 1,680 stories tall. That's as tall as 500 meters wide and 5,040 meters high. We might even add another 10% to make it nicer for people to live in, making it 5,544 meters high. But what would it be like living in a building that tall? The views would be incredible, like looking out of an airplane window from your balcony. But would you even be able to go out onto the balcony? As you go higher, the air gets thinner and harder to breathe. So, people living above the top would need extra oxygen pumped in all the time, and the upper floors would have to stay sealed shut to keep the pressure right, just like on an airplane. That means no opening windows or stepping onto balconies, which kind of makes them useless. But living so high up has its perks too. The strong winds could power wind turbines to make electricity. Another problem we face is with elevators. These machines typically move at a speed of around 3 kilometers per hour. So if you happen to live 3 kilometers above ground level, it will take a whole hour for you to reach the ground floor using a standard elevator. Even if we were to install the fastest elevator in the world, like the one found in the Shanghai Tower, it would still take about 15 minutes to descend. Now consider the potential issues like the elevator malfunctioning or a fire breaking out in the building. Picture having to navigate a 5-kilometer journey solely through staircases in such scenarios. A building of such height doesn't seem very practical. Perhaps instead of aiming for greater height, we could focus on expanding the width. By doing this, we would essentially be creating a cube-shaped building. To illustrate, a cube-shaped structure that could accommodate all of New York City, including an extra 10% of floors for additional facilities, would need to be 1,115 meters wide and 1,115 meters high. This building would only be 35% taller than the Burj Khalifa and could be situated in Central Park, utilizing just a third of the park's total area. However, this seemingly straightforward solution comes with its own set of challenges. It would disrupt the city's skyline, impact air travel, and even influence the local weather. Moreover, the financial aspect cannot be overlooked. For perspective, the construction cost of the Burj Khalifa was $4.1 billion. Assuming that a structure 850 times larger would cost proportionally more, the cube's estimated cost would exceed $3.5 trillion, considering Dubai prices. Yet, building in New York is significantly more expensive, pushing the projected cost for the New York cube to approximately $5.4 trillion. Imagine a gigantic building that could house every person on Earth. To grasp the enormity of this idea, consider that it would be 25% of the entire economic output of the United States in 2021. To put this in perspective, think about the Burj Khalifa, which took 6 years to construct. Now, if we make a simple assumption that building something 850 times larger takes 850 times longer, it will take a staggering 5,100 years to complete the New York cube, a theoretical structure. Even if the construction had started during the time of the Egyptian pyramids, it still wouldn't be finished for another 500 years. However, predicting the world's state so far into the future is challenging. The sheer size of the New York cube would dwarf anything we've ever built, yet it falls short of what we would need to accommodate the entire global population in one structure. Let's scale up our imagination even further. If we use the same land area as a New York City skyscraper to house all 7.9 billion people on Earth, we'd need a skyscraper with a mind-boggling 1.7 million floors. This colossal world skyscraper would be so immense that people on middle floors could witness the International Space Station passing by from their windows. It would essentially reach into outer space, and traveling from the top to the bottom by elevator would take longer than a flight from Vancouver to Miami, a journey lasting 8 hours. What about the stuff used to build things? Take the Burj Khalifa, for example. It needed 39,000 tons of steel, but if we look at the world skyscraper, it's like 800,000 times bigger than the Burj Khalifa. So if we imagine this new building needs 800,000 times more material, that's a whopping 31 billion tons of steel. The world, though, can only make 1.86 billion tons of steel each year. That's way less than what we'd need. So, it seems like we can't make this building with what we have right now. One cool idea people are talking about is a space elevator. It's like an elevator, but in space. So you can go up without using rockets. They're thinking of using carbon nanotubes for this because they're super strong and not too heavy. Even though there are some problems with these tubes, they could help us build really tall things like the world's skyscraper in the future. But for now, a crazy tall building like that won't really work. So, let's think about a cube-shaped building again. If we use the same ideas as before, a cube building big enough for everyone on Earth would have to be around 11 kilometers wide and tall. That's like 945 New York cubes. Surprisingly, that's not too much bigger compared to the tower version. The World Cube would be as tall as the Tokyo Tower of Babel with Jeddah Tower on top. In terms of area, it could almost fit into Pelham Bay Park in New York, the biggest park in the city, so maybe a cube is a more realistic idea for now. How much would it cost to build this huge building? If we use the same prices as the Burj Khalifa, it would be over $3.3 quadrillion. If we wanted to build it in New York, it would cost $5.1 quadrillion. That's about 12 times all the money in the world. If we assume it takes as long as it did to build the Burj Khalifa, it will take 4.8 million years at that rate. But even if it only took 10 years, the world's population grows by 1% each year, so the building would need to get 1% taller every year. It seems like building this would be really hard, but that doesn't mean it could never happen. When the pyramids were built in ancient Egypt, they probably didn't think we'd build something 6 times taller. And did people 2,000 years ago think we'd go to the moon? As long as people keep being creative and trying new things, who knows what could happen? It's just an idea for now. But maybe someday, millions of years from now, we could all live in a building like this. What do you think? Should we try to build it? Let us know in the comments below. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting content like this.